Welcome back to Hawaii Real, everybody. I'm your host, Iokehu, and I want to send a shout out to Hawaiian Springs Water, our beverage host for this episode. You can find them on the Amazon link I have in the description below, and any of your gas stations. And for my guests here, that's alkaline water, 7.7 alkaline stuff. Now, what I always share with everybody is that Hawaiian Springs Water, they just take it from the aquifer in the Big Island and just like bottle it. They don't do anything to the water or anything. It's like, woo. So it's like all natural, like fresh kind of water. They're like, yep.
I love it.
Like
I didn't know that.
Some bottled waters that are really expensive or more expensive. I guess it's the same price. But like from the Coca-Cola industries or something, they add so much stuff to it. It's like, ugh.
Wow. Oh, well, I'm going to take another sip of this. It's amazing water.
Enjoy.
Amazing.
And the color of the bottle. It's awesome.
It's beautiful.
I have with me today from Astrategy, Alison Koyanagi. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I invited you on like a year ago.
I know. I finally got back to you. I know it's the COVID thing. There was a lot of things going on. So you know how it is.
I do. Yeah. So thank you so much for making time and coming out here. But your company, Astrategy, is it an strategy or
a strategy? Yeah.
But it's a marketing company for big businesses, small businesses.
So we handle medium to larger size businesses. At least with right now, what we're focusing on the most is home services, mortgage, and real estate.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just businesses with real estate, or just are also like individuals with real estate?
So businesses, we are focused on the entire company. Yes.
Nice. So what do you guys offer from start to finish?
From start to finish. Well, right now we're working on a beautiful client generator system for mortgage and real estate industries. So any companies that are looking to expand and grow and get more clients, right now it's a little bit slower in those areas because the rates have risen so much. Nobody's really sure where the economy is going right now, so everyone's kind of unsure of whether to buy, but it still is a great time to if they want to. And right now we're helping them a lot with getting people that are still looking to buy for home purposes and also for investing purposes.
Very cool.
And the home services industry, which is great too, because we're doing a full, complete digital solution for them. So working with anyone,
full
SEO, right? SEO for their website. We actually build the website from scratch, make sure we have conversion optimization on it. And we're doing social media marketing. We're doing the full entire anything that you can think of in digital marketing, we're doing for these companies, and we're bringing them forward, getting them calls, getting them more book jobs and everything too. So it's been absolutely fun and amazing.
TikTok too.
Yeah, TikTok too.
TikTok.
TikTok too. If they want to do TikTok, we can do that.
I tell all these like small businesses and stuff that I meet, business owners, like, you got to get on TikTok. It's like such a huge thing now,
It really is. It's a huge untapped market still. It's not as saturated as Instagram.
Well, one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on is that, so you're the founder and president of this company, Astrategy. And you said you started it before getting you on camera, you were talking about how you started it 5 years ago. And before that, you weren't even doing this kind of work professionally, but you were doing accounting.
Right.
For other companies. And they just, on the side, they had you doing marketing?
Actually, I was the director of marketing as well as accounting for most of the companies that I was working with. So had all that experience, although my main focus was accounting at the time.
And that drove you to just realize that, hey, marketing is kind of better and more fun than accounting? Or were you having a blast doing accounting?
Having a blast definitely doing the marketing side of things. Okay. So that's why I started this, is because I was having fun. And it isn't like work. Although, some days I'm working maybe 18 hours a day. It doesn't feel like work. It really doesn't. And that's my Monday through Friday pretty much, is working that many hours. But at the same time, the time goes by so fast because I'm having so much fun doing it and helping people and being able to help these companies grow, reach their goals, whatever they need.
What made you take the leap to start your own company? And is this the first company you've started?
So actually it is the first company that I started. I've always had the dream of starting a business. Ever since maybe college time, I was kind of really interested in that business aspect because I graduated with a business degree. Really wanted to start something of my own, just call it something of my own as well. Didn't know what it was. So just figured I'd get a job in the meantime and figure that out. Ended up doing accounting and then unfortunately got laid off because they were doing a bunch of layoffs. So in that time, it was kind of based out of a need, but then it grew into a passion after that.
What was like the biggest hurdle of making that decision to start your business? I know you said you got laid off, but was there anything else instead of, because you could have gone and applied for another accounting job?
That's true.
Like what was the kicker right there for you?
So I actually did. I actually did apply for accounting positions, marketing positions. I got hired at every single company that I applied for. But then after 3 company offers, I realized that wasn't really something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Did I actually want to sit at a desk all day long, or did I want to do something that allowed me to travel, do stuff that I love whenever I wanted to? And it didn't. I didn't really see that in my future. I love freedom. I love being able to do what I want, whenever I want. So I decided to say, hey, I'm just gonna stop working for someone else. I'm just gonna do it on my own and see where it goes. I don't know. Just take the leap.
That's a huge leap, right?
It is.
So like where did that courage come from to do that?
I don't know. I really don't know. It's just, like I said, it was kind of based out of a need, but at the same time, I didn't want to work for someone. So it was kind of in between. It was kind of figuring out, is this something I want to do for the rest of my life? And now 5 years into it, I realize, yes, it is something I want to do for the rest of my life. Not sure if it's going to be this marketing agency or not for the rest of my life, but I do know that I want to stay in business and I want to do different types of businesses too, not just this one.
After owning a business, can you ever see yourself working for someone ever again?
So no,
Right.
I know. So that maybe all the employers are like, oh, she's unemployable. But I mean, if it came down to it, I know that if I had to get a job, I would. Hawaii is not the most the most inexpensive place to live. So, but in perspective, I could start another business if this one didn't work out either.
Right.
There's always that other step, as well. I'm not afraid. Like I was in the beginning, to do something like that or take the leap or work a lot of hours to actually get to where I want to be. And I'm not opposed to working 7 days a week like I do now, but I'm not opposed to it, and knowing what it takes and having that drive too, I think it would really, really helps to kind of stay within that business realm as well.
Yeah, there's like that adage of entrepreneurs and business owners who would rather work 80 hours so that they don't have to work 40 hours.
Exactly. I saw that the other day. I was joking around with my friend about that. I said that this is exactly my life, actually.
But it's more enjoyable.
It's
more fulfilling. You just have a sense of purpose.
It is. And, being able to just take off in the middle of the day if I wanted to as well, just, to go and hang out with my fiance or whatever it is, then that's totally great to me as well. I mean, so it all works out.
What advice would you give to somebody who's kind of in your shoes 5 years ago?
Well, in my shoes, kind of wanting to start, but they're not really sure if they want to. Advice I would give is to work really hard, at your full-time job, whatever you're doing, and then when you're done with work, make sure that you're working as well. Just work really hard. Don't never give up. And that's my attitude. It's like never, ever give up. So whatever you want to do in life, just don't ever give up at it.
That's huge. And too many people just give up like after the first failure or the first hiccup or the first hurdle. Even. Right. It's like, oh no, this is too hard. I can't do it. Or no, I don't really have time to do this. I got to watch the game.
Exactly.
No, dude.
Exactly.
Like, someone was talking to me. I was asking me if I had watched this show on Netflix. I was like, no. Have you watched this on Netflix? I was like, no. Have you watched this? It's on Hulu. It's like, no. And they were like, what do you do with your time? I'm like, I work. It's like, I'm working. And then when I'm not working, I'm working.
Exactly.
And yes, in between there's fun and having time with the kids and stuff. But No, there's minimal relaxation time, but it's just more productivity time.
Exactly, exactly. And that's pretty much my life now until there's kids in my world as well. But until that happens, it's pretty much all work, and then of course trying to have fun whenever you can on the side.
Oh, when you have kids, it's gonna be just more work.
It's going to be very different. So I know you're very experienced in that area. So,
But it's also good to, when you do have kids, and this is for all parents, like
right.
make sure your kids see that you're being productive. And whatever it is you choose to do, like don't let them see you fail and stop. You can't, because then how are you going to tell them as a parent, when they get a bad grade on a test or they do poorly in school or they didn't make the team or whatever, oh, you got to try harder, you got to try harder, you got to try harder. But then you're not doing it yourself when it comes to
Exactly.
these kinds of things too. So
Yeah, that's totally how I feel too. It's just never there's tons of bumps that are going to be coming into that road that you're going to be taking as a business owner. I wouldn't say every day is perfect. Today was a great day for me, but there are some days where I'm just, it's so low to the point of like sometimes you do feel like giving up. But you just got to pick yourself up again and just say, hey, you know what? There's a better day ahead. Just think positively, and that's all I'm about too. Is a lot of meditation, a lot of positivity. So I strive to at least meditate for 20 minutes a day, every single day, as well as working out in the morning. So that's 7 days a week. I do that just religiously because it does bring me a lot of fun and positivity into my life to do those things and makes me feel great. So I feel like it could help other people too if they don't currently incorporate that into their day.
Let's talk about that roller coaster.
Right.
Because I experienced that. So I have a city and county job, and then I have 2 side businesses, sell on Amazon, and then the videography and photography type business. But there are roller coasters. Like there's some days, or sometimes it's a week even, where things are just going great. Everything is working. The future looks really bright. And then the next week, it just seems like nothing's working.
Exactly.
Nothing's going the way it's supposed to be going. And I just like, what the F am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
Or what is going on in the world that it's like making it so hard for me right now? Talk about your experience with those roller coasters.
That's funny. That's exactly, I think, how most, I'm not sure if I could talk for all business owners. Maybe sometimes they are not on a roller coaster for some reason. Maybe they're always in the positive. Maybe they're always making great gains. But
I don't think so.
Whether or not it's your work life or your business life that you're experiencing that roller coaster in, sometimes your business life is doing great and then your personal life, it really sucks. And so just finding that balance, being able to make sure that both your personal and your work life are kind of in that positive realm. I know it's hard sometimes. Like sometimes business takes priority over certain things. You have to talk to a certain client at a time, and maybe you have to skip date night or something on your personal side, and you don't want to do that. But as a business owner, you have to be able to kind of take those punches and roll with it. Just make sure that you're going with the flow. I don't even know if there's actually a balance to all of this either. Like personally, I haven't been able to find it because sometimes work just takes over my life, unfortunately. But, I always try to find time to, hey, watch a movie later with my fiance or something, for example, just to make up for it and, bring us closer as well. Because I don't want that side to be lost either, because that's such an important part of my life. And relationships are the most important part of most people's lives. I would say that I realize that after a long time now is relationships are the most important. I wouldn't choose having a business over my relationships with people because the human relationships are really what matters. Your family, your friends, everyone that is close to you and loves you, those are the most important things.
And your business is kind of centered around helping people.
Right.
Helping businesses specifically, but you're helping people in those businesses. And a lot of these business owners, you're helping them personally relieve time so that they can have time to spend with, their family and help them balance their work-life balance. Does that sound right? Help them make a work-life balance better with your services and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So is that one of the reasons you kind of drove into that?
That's one of the reasons why I started it, but mostly to help people because I realized that, people are very important. everyone has a story to them too. There's not just one type of human, and it's absolutely amazing how many people I've talked to, and they've actually told me some great things about themselves, and I just love learning about people, and that makes me interested. And I love helping them. So if we could bring a smile to someone's face, if we can say, hey, oh my gosh, we brought in these many clients for them, or we were able to get them to their goals of this revenue goal this year, that makes me excited and happy to actually turn on my computer every day and talk to them on Zoom and say, hey, we actually got you these results. And then they're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And that makes me feel good too, because we've helped them to get to where they need to be. And whether or not, like we are, doing a lot of, I guess, like making a lot on our end, I don't care, because as long as we're making them happy. I'm kind of a people pleaser too, in a way. That's kind of my downfall, but I always want to make them happy. So if they say I'm happy with a smiley face, I'm like, yes, like we've actually accomplished what we need to accomplish here. So it's a personal happy feeling when that occurs. Yeah.
It's like the most successful businesses are the ones that help people and
Right.
make people genuinely happy
Right.
from either the services or the products or whatever. Even Amazon, like, it's huge, but it helps people connect with products that, they maybe don't need, but
Right.
it makes them
Exactly.
happy. I can just
Exactly.
order stuff on my phone and have it delivered 3 days later.
Exactly.
That's awesome. I didn't have to go out of my introvert and go to like Walmart to find this stuff.
Exactly. Saves you parking time too.
Totally. Yeah, all that money you'd spend like on gas, and time is money also.
Right.
So just like, nah.
Exactly.
Amazon's great.
Exactly.
It's too great sometimes. Anyway, that's a whole nother story with spending too much money on Amazon.
I think that's everyone right now.
Yeah, it is.
I have packages at my door that I don't even know where they came from, actually. I know they came from Amazon, but I'm not sure what's inside anymore.
Mystery boxes.
Right.
How has the a couple years ago, the shutdowns and everything like that, did that really affect you guys' business, or were you guys able to adapt and move through that?
So in the beginning, I think everyone was really adjusting to the new policies that were put in place. No one knew what this virus was. So a lot of businesses were shutting down. A lot of different regulations were put in place. A lot of things were closed. So it didn't affect our customers completely. So they all stayed on with us. Some dropped off, of course, but we kept on getting new clients. And it was great because we kind of just sustained ourselves through the pandemic, even though a lot of other companies were kind of maybe not being able to get on board with certain things, and they weren't able to like open up, for example, if they had a brick and mortar.
Oh, right.
But we're online services, so that was kind of lucky to where we were able to still help people through the pandemic because we were offering everything digitally. But I would say it did take a hit for our clients, and I feel really bad for them because some of them actually did suffer a lot through that pandemic, where they weren't able to get the clients that they wanted to, or customers that they wanted to, through their doors. And so we were trying to help them as much as possible, really being flexible with our services too. So if they said, oh, I can't pay you this month, it's fine. So I was like, okay, you know what? You just pay me 2 months from now if you can, and that kind of thing too. So we were just really helping them just pro bono, in the meantime, just while they got back on their feet.
Because helping them survive.
Yeah. And because once they join our agency, they're part of the family as well. Like I wouldn't say, hey, bye-bye, like if they couldn't pay, I wouldn't just leave them in the dust. So we're still helping them through the pandemic and making sure that they were able to get through it. And then also, of course, like trying to do anything we could to help outside of our agency as well. If there was anything that we could do, volunteer work or anything like that as well. So I was really trying to get out there and help people as much as I could. And then, of course, like doing any types of consulting. If people were like, I can't afford your services, I was like, that's fine. I'll just have a consulting call with you. Maybe that'll help you do your marketing on your own, and then you can help your business grow as well. So I was doing a lot of that.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great that you guys just did pro bono work and we're just helping people.
Yes, trying to as the best as I could.
For all the bad things that came out of that, there was so many, and I guess people don't really shine the light on these, but there were so many good stories that came out of the shutdowns and stuff like that, where people were genuinely helping other people just out of the goodness of their hearts,
Right.
helping out with food. I remember going to pick up food that was being donated from Otani over there. Yeah, they're
Right.
just like giving food away. I was like, wow, okay.
That's so
They're
nice
just
of
like
them.
helping people out.
Oh, I love that. I know. I saw a lot of that on the news too. A lot of other companies were trying to help as much as they could as well. So, in those types of periods, I think businesses need to help each other, and they need to help other people as much as they can if they have the resources to.
Yeah, that was good. So good came out of that stuff.
Yes. Good. Lots of good came out of it. We're also very cleaner. We're much cleaner with our hands. We wash our hands more, and
yeah.
we haven't really
like
gotten that
overall
sick. Right?
illnesses have just kind of shied away and died away, like the common cold and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Which is good. Like I think I will always wear a mask on an airplane.
Right. Same.
Just like, I don't care.
Exactly.
That recycled air with like 100 people breathing it is like, no, I'm okay. I'll wear the mask.
Exactly. Exactly.
Sanitize the armrests.
Oh,
like,
I know.
Yeah.
I'm still going to do all of that.
Yeah. So there's some good things that came out of that. We went back to, hey, let's start thinking about our personal hygiene a little bit better.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. We're all very clean now.
Yeah. So can we talk about you being an employer?
Oh.
So you're not just a business owner on your own, but how many people are on your team?
So I have 7 right now,
Wow.
and they all help me on different things. So, there's different aspects to the business where we have the ads department, we have the social media department, we have our website team, that sort of thing as well. So all of them, they are absolutely wonderful. I employ only people here in the States or in Hawaii. Nobody overseas, because I really trust the people here that are based in the United States, especially for the IP address and the security, that so many hackers nowadays as well. So really focus on just hiring within the United States.
So you do have employees that are in the mainland.
Right, I do.
Oh, cool.
Some of them they're all remote. We're all remote actually, so they can work wherever they want to. And that was kind of
Nice.
my dream with this as well. So being able to travel while you're working at the same time. And all of them pretty much have the same mindset as I do. They're all very, very hardworking. Oh my gosh, I have the best team ever. Even on Sunday mornings, if I'm awake at like 5:30 and I need something from them, they're going to answer, which is really awesome. So I couldn't be more blessed in that area.
What's like the huge difference? Oh, so do you guys have a brick and mortar, an office or anything like that?
No, we're all just virtual. So
Nice.
we work
Okay.
wherever we want to. Here in Hawaii, you can work on the beach if you want to. So I just tell everyone you can just take your laptop there if you want to,
Right?
as long as you're using a secure VPN and everything.
Yeah,
You have
totally.
antivirus and anti-malware. So
Do you think that's more of the future?
it really is for certain jobs, but I wouldn't say most jobs can actually be completely virtual like this. So the people that enjoy working at a laptop at a desk all day, that's great. Some people enjoy being in the field and actually doing the work that's in the field too, and those are the service jobs and our service providers. And we work a lot with the home services industry, and they couldn't do their work if they didn't have service providers that go out into the field and actually do the work. So I really respect the technicians and everything and service providers that actually do those types of jobs as well. So I wouldn't recommend that everyone turns in virtual. It's hard to fix a plumbing system virtually.
No. But there's like office jobs where
Yeah.
they're still requiring people to come into the office
Right.
and sit at their desk and do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, well, they could sit at a desk at home and do the same work. Why do they have to come here to sit at the desk and do stuff?
Is this coming from personal
Yes,
experience?
totally.
Oh, okay, that's why.
And not to say that all of my work could be done virtually. It can't. Not necessarily me specifically at where I work, but there are people that are in that office space that could totally do some of the work, actually a lot of the work, virtually.
Right.
It's like, why are you here?
That's great to get out into the public. Employers need to know about these things as well. So, I mean, but I know some employers prefer having people in the office too, because it does create that team bond aspect of things. But I know there are some places where you don't really meet for hours on that end, and you're wondering why you're in the office.
So it's jobs like that, like teamwork kind of jobs. I understand.
Right.
Yeah, there's some jobs where, hey, if you got to come to work every day and sit in a cubicle doing stuff,
Yeah.
you're bored out of your mind. You're just staring at a screen.
Oh, right.
I mean, when I was a kid, they would always tell us, don't spend more than 2 hours on a computer screen. Don't watch TV for more than this. And then you get into the workforce and your entire day is spent watching or looking at a monitor.
Yes.
It's like, okay. And so you should be reading books.
Right.
So, I don't read books for work or anything anymore.
Exactly.
Like, that's for fun.
That is for fun, right? I know a lot of people feel the same way, I'm sure. So you're probably speaking to the choir right now.
Well, like even psychologists and stuff, like child psychologists, like before the pandemic, were like, hey, children shouldn't be on a tablet or anything for more than a couple hours at a time. Then virtual school came or stay-at-home schooling, right? And they were on their laptops and tablets for the entire school day.
Exactly.
For week after week after week. I was like, well, what happened to like limiting screen time and stuff? So, but then looking forward, like looking at how my kids are and the way that they can manipulate their iPad and iMac and stuff like that so much faster than I ever thought possible. I was like, wow, yeah, that kind of stuff is the future.
It really is. And I mean, they're
for them.
Yeah, they might be into programming later. You never know. They could be actually contributing something really great to companies because of their technological advancement.
Oh, that's just how school is. It's like they're not writing that much anymore. Most of their work is done on their tablets, their devices, and then they're emailing it in or sending it in virtually or submitting it, and the teacher's grading it online from her bedroom or whatever, and it's just all virtual. There's very few things that they do that's on paper anymore.
Very cool.
I don't even think they teach cursive. I don't think my kids know cursive.
That's fine.
You don't need to know cursive anyway. It's like, whatever. What do you need to know cursive for?
So at our me personally, I try not to use paper as much as possible. So I do use an iPad to write notes if I have to. Everything's typed, not written. I do want to save the environment, so I just try not to print anything if I can. So that's why I put everything online. Make sure we're sharing documents online only. And anything that I do need to print, I realize it's really not that important. I mean, if they're Amazon returns, for example, that's probably the only time that I ever print anything.
Well, not even really anymore. They give you like a QR code on your phone.
They do. Some require a printer, though.
Oh, they do?
Some require electronics.
What are you ordering?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay.
Yes, for example. So batteries, and they do still require that.
Just walk this thing to Whole Foods and just scan the QR code. You don't even need a box. You just give them the product. Okay, it's so much easier.
Soon drones are gonna be delivering our packages as well. So.
They say that, but just knowing Hawaii and the layout and the power lines and stuff like that, and the winds and the traffic,
really,
you're gonna need some legit drones to do that. Yeah, but even because you're not supposed to fly drones within 5 miles of an airport. Well,
we have a lot of airport space, actually.
The airport's not too far, and you do a 5 mile radius from the airport, and it's going to cover quite a bit of Honolulu.
Really? Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I mean, in the mainland, absolutely, probably it's going to happen. Here locally, I don't know.
Exactly.
It's like I was having a discussion with my kid about flying cars. He's like, Dad, how come they have flying cars yet? I was like, okay, well, if you're in a car and something happens to the car, the engine dies or you run out of gas or the tire blows or something mechanical goes wrong with it.
Yep.
It just kind of slowly stops. You pull over to the side of the road or you stop in the middle of the road and you just cause a traffic jam. If you're in a flying car and that happens, like you're crashing, dying, and killing somebody else too. Like you're landing on someone's house or something, So yeah, so for those reasons, I don't know about flying cars until flying is like 99.9999% safe all the time.
What if they had a parachute that allowed you to
They'll probably need parachutes. They'll probably definitely need parachutes or anti-gravity hovering technology or something.
I'm all about the flying car aspect.
I would love to have a flying car. I would love to just fly.
Right. Avoid all the traffic. Well, there might be traffic in the sky, actually. Here in Hawaii, there would.
But you'd be working remotely, so you
True.
go whenever you want.
True, that'll be fun. Ah,
But the local airline's out of business, though.
right.
They wouldn't be flying in their island.
I
It's
know.
like, no, I'm just going to fly.
We're just gonna fly
my
our own
own car.
cars. Exactly.
Because they have some of those, like, big drone-looking cars.
Where's the most interesting place you've ever been in the whole world?
I've been to several. Singapore was nice, but hot as hell. I will never go back. Have you been to Singapore?
No.
Unless you have like a legit business reason to go there where you're like, you're going to make money or something, don't go. It's hot. Like, it's just hot.
But is there anything interesting in Singapore besides the weather?
You know, when I was there, I talked to locals and I made it a point to really talk to locals and get their viewpoints on stuff in comparison to the United States. And, you know, it's Singapore being, what do they call it? A capitalist dictatorship? Something like that. That's how they described it.
Right.
It's like a capitalist dictatorship or an economic dictatorship or something like that. And they just have a dictator, but his sole purpose is to make sure that the economy is flowing really good and doing really, really good. And, you know, ergo capitalism and stuff like that in Singapore. But they also have things where if you're not a citizen there, like it's really, really hard to get citizenship, if not impossible. And all the immigrants that come in are just like the lowly workers. There's a total caste system. But they like it because it works for them and they can come in and work and make decent money, be protected. Crime rate's really low, so they don't have to worry about all that. And it's just a different way of viewing life where they can live in this kind of harmonic lifestyle without the freedoms that we have here in the United States.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting.
Yeah. Like you can't speak bad there about public officials.
Right.
Like you'll just they'll take you and you go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
No freedom of speech at all.
That's very interesting. Thailand is similar,
Yeah.
I think, as well. Yeah, when I traveled there, they said, do not say anything about any of our leaders
Yeah.
anywhere. Don't
Like they
say
just throw you in
anything. Right. We would just praise them. Make sure that you're only saying positive things. I said, okay. There's no problem there because I don't know them.
Yeah.
So
Right.
they seem like great people to me.
That's why when they do protest over in those areas, it just gets all out of hand because things have gone over way beyond,
Right.
the overflow limit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So stupid hot. But in Singapore, so coming from Hawaii and hearing about Singapore, everybody's like, oh, Singapore's so clean. You can't even chew gum. There's no trash on the sidewalks or anything like that. So we get there and the air is just full of smog.
Wow.
It was like downtown Los Angeles in the 1980s.
Oh my.
It wasn't clean air.
Mm-hmm.
And the sunset was definitely a different orange color. It definitely didn't look clean. You could smell and breathe in
Interesting.
that kind of air. Now, maybe I'm spoiled because we're from Hawaii and we have the trade winds and it blows all of our smog out to the ocean. But, it really did settle in that, hey, this is not that clean of an air
Mm-hmm.
type of thing. But also they didn't have any electric vehicles or
Right.
hybrids or anything like that. I saw so
That's
many
very
Lamborghinis
interesting.
and Ferraris and Honda Accords and stuff like that. Even rich people drive Honda Accords. But there were zero hybrids,
Wow.
zero electric vehicles that I saw. No Teslas, nothing.
Do you know why that is?
Well, the people there so I asked them about that. I asked like taxi drivers and
Yeah.
stuff. And they're like, well, no, if everybody got electric vehicles, it would overload our electric system because everybody would be plugging them in and blah, blah, blah. I was
I
like,
see.
okay. Not really, but okay.
Oh, you never know. I mean, that could be the reason, or there could be
Well,
other underlying
it's super hard
reasons.
to own a car there. It's super
Right.
expensive to own a car.
Mhm.
It's really expensive to get a driver's license. And the car registration is like $10,000 or $30,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
So only the really rich people own cars.
Right.
And like everybody else takes taxi cabs or subways or something like that. I'm like, wow, okay.
That's interesting.
Oh, and the taxi cabs are owned by the government too. Like you can be a taxi driver, but you don't own the cab or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, they have a lot of different rules and stuff like that. So
Interesting.
there's no homeless people. You didn't see any homeless
That
people. I
is
say, how
very
do you not have any
interesting.
poor people or homeless people? Oh, we kick them out. It's like, Fuck,
Really?
what? Really?
Where did they go? Hawaii, I guess. No, I'm
Well,
just
Singapore's an
joking.
island. They just throw them into Malaysia, I guess. I don't know.
No.
They totally just move them out. There's no like people living on the street or anything like that we ever saw driving around
Oh
there.
my gosh,
Yeah.
that's very interesting. Gosh, it sounds clean. I mean, besides the air, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
The zoo is cool.
Neat, very cool.
But
Very
yeah,
cool.
hot.
Very
What
cool.
about you? Where's the most interesting place?
I know I have to be cliche and say Italy.
Oh, nice.
That was the most interesting place because we did do something very interesting there, which was actually build a house from scratch as well. So was a reason why I was there in the past, is to build a house for a week, and then after that kind of explore the city for a week as well. So exploring all of that, Venice, and doing all the fun stuff in Italy was absolutely amazing. And I would say the food is probably the best Italian food. Of course, yes, you have to have Italian food while you're there. And that's my favorite type of food, is Italian. So being there, having the best pizza, having the best pasta, of course, and the wine is absolutely out of this world. So yeah.
How were the people?
Amazing. So they're super nice. I didn't meet one person. Okay, I met one. But other than that, all the rest out of the 100 that I met, they were all super nice to me. And they were like, "You're an honorary Italian." And I said, "Oh, really? That's really sweet of you." Wow. They're just like opening their arms and saying, "Hey, come and, be a part of our family here in Italy." And
Wow.
I said, gladly, but I actually, Hawaii's my heart. I have to come back here. So eventually. But it was one of those places where you don't want to leave. It's that beautiful.
Was it because you were from Hawaii?
No, I think it was just, I don't know. Maybe it was just like the culture is very welcoming or something. But I'm very open around different cultures and people too. I just love meeting people and talking to them and getting to know their stories as well. So I really don't have, if I meet a new person, I'm always wanting to get to know them as well. So that's kind of why I love getting to know you on this podcast. Maybe more.
No, you speak really, really well. So I'm glad to have you on the podcast.
Oh.
That's always one of my things when I'm looking for guests. It's like I have to look through their socials and see, like, can they speak well? Like if they can't speak well on camera, it's like,
right. Some people are a little nervous. That's why they kind of shell up, kind of clam up a little bit. But I actually create a ton of social media content at all times. So I'm so used to being on camera now.
Yeah.
Before, where I just hated my face, I still do, but it's still, you gotta do it. You gotta get on camera. You gotta, you gotta get on there and just show your face and just do it. Whether or not you like being on camera or not, it's one of those things with social media. Putting your face out there and making sure people know of your brand and what you're about is very important.
So would you have any advice to people who are looking to, or who are just like saying, I either don't like my face, or mostly I hear like, I don't like my voice. I don't want to hear my own voice, kind of thing. And that's why they don't make social media posts for their businesses.
Right. So my friend said that recently. She's starting her own business right now too, which is awesome. So I'm supporting all my friends that want to start businesses. So I'm kind of helping her through the process and giving her advice. I personally do not like the sound of my voice. And even though I'm on a podcast right now, I just can't even stand listening to myself in this. But you know what? I still do it. I just suck it up and do it. If you don't like hearing yourself, maybe just don't replay it too much. Maybe listen to yourself without sound, put some subtitles on, take away your voice. I don't know, make it sound interesting. They have robotic voices that you can put over as an overlay. Yeah. So you can do that if you want to as well, if you just hate the sound of your voice. Robotic's cool as well. So, there's always ways around it. If you don't like it, get a nice microphone like this. Make your voice sound a little bit better and a little bit more crisp as well. That's always good advice.
Yeah, the microphone that you choose, if you don't like the sound of your voice, there are specific microphones that you can try to look at that can make your voice sound a little bit deeper, a little bit crisper. You can play around with the EQ a little bit here and there.
Did you make mine sound a little bit crisper?
No, your voice is great.
Oh.
No, your voice is good.
You can turn up the crisp.
Well, that's like one of the things, right? We don't like how our own voice sounds necessarily, but that's our issue. Mm-hmm. That's not the issue with everybody listening to us, because everybody listening to us is just listening to us talk. I mean, you're going to have the one-off person that maybe has a high-pitched, screechy voice or something like that, but the vast majority of us that can speak well and are used to speaking in front of people, we just have a voice.
Right.
And people listening to it are just like, yeah, that's their voice. That's Allison. I can hear her. So
That's great. Well, as long as no one's offended by the sound of my voice, I'm totally fine with it.
I don't think anybody's offended by the sound of your voice.
That's funny.
Yeah, because that's internal, right? Because we're
Mhm.
saying that to ourselves. That's our own voice. It's like, hey, you sound terrible.
Exactly.
But actually, the people listening to you are like, no, you don't sound terrible.
Exactly.
You don't look terrible. You look fine.
Exactly. And I think the thing about social media too is just go up and do it. Like if you just shoot something and put something up, post anything, just make sure you're posting something for your business and it has a strategy behind it. And, I did a whole presentation on this last week for one of the companies here in Hawaii, and just trained them on social media and getting into it. And they had a ton of questions. They're like, well, how do I actually get started? What if, my followers don't like what I'm posting? I said, well, change it up then, and change up the strategy. If they're not really liking what you're posting, they're not engaging with it. It's very important to just get out there and make sure you're branding yourself in the right way.
I haven't done that at all, really.
I see you on
I do
LinkedIn
that
though.
a little bit, but I hear what you're saying, and yeah, I don't know. I fail in that department. I could do more, but I don't.
Right.
But I'm also busy doing other stuff.
Right.
I think what it is for me personally is I just haven't made that social media aspect as much of a priority.
Mm-hmm.
And for good or for bad, whatever. That's
Right.
what it is. But I hear what you're saying as far as people that want to build their following, you got to put in the work.
Exactly. It's a lot of work in the beginning, for sure, to grow it to the level that you want to grow it. And it's a continuous process too. You can't just stop once you start either.
Yeah, people see the successes and they don't see the mountains of failures
Mhm.
or just hiccups or hurdles that we had to get over just to get to that successful point.
Exactly.
All they're seeing is your end product sometimes.
Exactly.
Do you have a story on that as far as like building your business?
Right. So, yeah, that's so true about social media and just seeing the successes, because people only want to post the good things that are happening to them. They don't post, negative things that have happened to them recently. So then, it's great because social media is very positive in that way. But then I think some people might get discouraged as well if they're seeing their competitors, for example, posting something awesome and they don't know what work it took for them to get to that point as well, like you said. And that's very important to realize too, because it takes so much work to get to where you need to be. And so you're posting that amazing post and you're posting that reel of what you've done. But that took 20 hours of your time to actually create something, and to actually put it out there as well, and to edit that and to get that out there. So, and besides that whole process that you're talking about on that reel, what did you create? Did you do something positive? And that success as well. So, but just, making sure that you're posting things, but also being transparent about things as well. So social media is very much moving towards the transparency side of things. So TikTok, for example, it's very real, where people are just in front of their cameras. They're in the bathroom, they're talking, they're like, hey, I just got out of the shower, and it's very real and raw. And they're talking about stories that have happened to them recently. And all you want to do is listen to the whole story, because you're like, okay, well, I've started, now I can't stop it. And that's where, the scroll comes in. You're on there for about an hour after about watching several of those videos.
I know, yes.
And then you're wondering, why did I not post any social media content for myself today? Wait a minute, I was consuming all this content for an hour. So you can get lost in TikTok, or you can create TikTok videos of your own too. And you can create transparent videos where you're talking about, hey, maybe today wasn't as successful as the last. But, it also shows kind of a real side to your business as well.
Yeah.
Not every business is super successful and super awesome all the time. There's going to be those high points and there's going to be those low points, but just working through it and making sure you stay strong and motivated throughout all of that is very important.
So I know we agreed to not talk about anything politics, but and this is more business oriented, but do you see a need for that transparency, those real videos, especially with an election coming up, with candidates running for office in today's day and age? Because I know we still go by, waving signs on the side of the road and putting videos on TV. I don't even watch TV anymore. It's like, so if you put a commercial on TV, I'm never going to see it.
Right.
If you're out there sign waving, I might see you. but I don't know you. I mean, I see you waving a sign with your name and everything like that, but how do I get to know you as a candidate?
Right.
Do you see social media, or have you seen advantages, or anybody taking that kind of advantage, or do you see that as something that's not here yet?
I'm not sure if the public is ready for that. Maybe there's too much going on in the world where they might get more negative comments than positive comments if they try to be a little bit more real. But at the same time, if they were real and transparent and genuine about what they're doing, then I feel like they'd have a very good, very positive reaction towards what they're doing as well. So just getting out there and saying, I'm doing these things, and it's all for the good of everyone. And there's always going to be naysayers. There's always going to be people not wanting to follow what they're doing or support them in any way. But, for the people that do support them, I think being transparent and being more genuine is very, very important right now, especially, we're past COVID, we're kind of getting out of that. It's better for people to be more genuine right now than anything on social media and showing their real side. They don't have to wear makeup. Even politicians too, like they just go on there without makeup and just say, hey, you know what, I'm here, I'm real. And people love that. I saw a post the other day on LinkedIn, for example, and there was this, I'm not going to mention the name, but she was so awesome. She was giving a speech. And she was like, I wonder what I look like when I'm talking. And she had all these funny pictures of herself. And it was just like the most funniest faces that you could ever imagine. It wasn't even appealing or beautiful or anything like that. But she posted it anyway because it was just like, it was kind of just those funny faces. And I loved it. I love that post because it was just so real. And I, personally, I was like, man, if I did something like that, I don't even know if I would even want to look at it. But, like watching myself on this camera too, I'm sure I'm making tons of funny faces here. So I can take some screenshots, but put that up. Like, I wonder what I look like on camera. Oh, that's what it is. I love posts like that because it's showing the real side of that person. They are putting themselves out there. They're totally fine with looking funny or not cool, at the time. And I just love those types of posts.
So I know you love those kind of posts. Do you see that in the metrics also when you guys are looking at your customers' videos and posts and stuff like that? Is there real stuff, transparent stuff like that tends to do better?
Yeah, so some of the most popular ones right now are kind of behind the scenes, what our companies are doing, what our clients are doing. Just fun things, like they could be having an office party or something, and then they're just showing what goes on behind the scenes at their office. And not many people get to experience that all the time. So getting to see the behind the scenes has been pretty popular, and that shows a real transparent and genuine side as well. They're not putting on makeup before they get on camera or anything. They're just kind of shooting as they go along. The cake might not be perfect, but hey, it's still a cake, and you're going to shoot it. It's still wonderful to see. And just people being real on camera too. I like the name of your podcast, for example, just being real and genuine. That's what social media is going to move towards, this TikTok movement, just people being real and open about what they're doing.
It's Hawaii Real, REAL, not REEL. Not a fishing show. I've had guys ask me, "Oh, Hawaii Real, is that a fishing show?" Like, what? No.
Like, no.
That's a great idea, though.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with the Honolulu Police Department just got a new chief, and one of his big aspects that he wants to bring into the police department is more transparency. And you've kind of seen that a little bit here and there on Instagram and stuff, where they're posting a little bit more than they did before. And
I've noticed
to be more
that.
real.
I've noticed that.
Yeah. I think it's the right direction. I think we're still figuring that part out. But I think the public nowadays really demands more transparency. It's not. Have you seen the movie Anchorman?
I have.
With Will Ferrell.
It's funny.
Right. But they're just building him up to be his perfect image on camera. Right. And that's his persona throughout the whole movie. But that's not real life. Right. And I do love it when news anchors have their own social media and they're at the beach and they're talking and it's like, yeah, these are the waves, blah, blah, blah. Totally off the cuff from the actual news that's going on.
Exactly.
I think that connects more with me as a person. So I like to see that. That's why I kind of was wondering about politicians going through candidacy in this day and age, if that's a thing that they should be doing or would look or would be looked down upon or something like that.
Right. It's really up to the public to decide. So, I mean,
Yeah.
somebody should just go out and do it. Just be super transparent about what they're doing, as a politician, and maybe be the first one to kind of bring the awareness to that. And maybe, the public will respond positively towards that too. But of course, there's always going to be there's going to be people saying, no, that's not right. Because that's the whole thing about politics too. There's never really a right answer, is there?
Right.
So they're going to go back and
your
forth.
demographic, it could be,
right.
People from the ages of, 25 to 85,
Mm-hmm.
and a vast majority of the population or voting population that shows up to vote in your area might be over the age of 60.
Exactly.
So it's like, do you really want to be that much on TikTok?
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
Very true.
it's a risk. But man, it's a risk we're willing to take. What is the, I guess the biggest hurdle that you had when you were starting this business?
Biggest hurdle in the beginning was kind of time management, getting into that groove. But in the beginning, I wouldn't recommend this for anyone, but I wasn't eating much. I wasn't sleeping much. Just trying to get it off the ground, trying to get it out there. And then the biggest hurdle, I think, was kind of just being afraid to actually get myself out there. I'm more of an introverted person. I would consider myself as that, maybe an ambivert, but in the beginning, it was hard to actually call my friends and say I'm starting a business. And that's the hardest part, because you don't know how they're going to judge you, what they're going to say. And it's funny because the people closest to you think would be the easiest to talk to about it. It's the hardest, because most of them were used to having a job. We're used to the 9 to 5s. And then I said, well, if I start this, will they laugh at me? Will they think I'm really dumb? And, maybe they did, but most of them supported me and said, hey, you know what? I know this friend that needs marketing. Can you help them? I said, yeah, that'd be great, because that's what I'm trying to do right now. So I'm just trying to help people. But getting out there and actually kind of making sure that everyone knew that I was in business and knew that I wanted to help people through marketing. So that was the hardest part, is talking about it in the beginning. It was so difficult.
So the hardest part talking about it was your own fear about the reactions?
Right. Just being judged, I think, about the whole thing, and maybe people doubting what you could do.
Right.
Yeah. And then, of course, putting all that work in the beginning too is very, very important. And I mean, luckily at the time I didn't do anything else but that. So I wasn't employed or anything like that. So I had the time. But, from a need, if you're kind of doing it out of a need too, that makes you work 10 times, maybe even 100 times harder than the regular person that doesn't need to start a business.
Right. That pain point.
Right. Exactly.
Makes you do crazy stuff.
Your crazy things. Yeah.
Like stay up for 12 hours.
Exactly. No sleep.
Yeah.
I was on project no sleep for like a week at a time, and I didn't care, because I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it, and I'm going to take the leap. And I think the people that work the hardest are the people that end up coming out on top at the end for business anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Because you have to, right?
Yep.
It's not like sports where, hey, you can work hard, but somebody who's just naturally talented is going to beat you out.
Right.
Because they're taller or bigger or faster naturally. Like business isn't like that necessarily. Business sometimes boils down to who works the hardest, who pushes more.
Yep.
Who sleeps less.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But I wouldn't recommend it for most people if they want to have a life. If they want to enjoy
hard though,
life.
because you have to sacrifice. Because I mean, I can tell you what, like your life in the next 10 years is probably going to be a heck of a lot better and more manageable than it was if you had just stayed at your accounting job, from 5 years ago. You just went back into that industry and stayed working at a cubicle for 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week.
Right.
Like you'd probably be miserable.
Right. You never know. But I think, it's always fun. I think life is fun, and just trying to enjoy every single part of it. And enjoying the present is very important as well. Not looking too much into the future, but looking towards the future, never looking back and saying I regretted anything either. That's a big part of being able to stay positive every day and being able to move forward.
So you talk about the future. Let's talk a little bit about the past. Is there a historical figure that you've either studied about and really liked and enjoyed, or that you kind of take the teachings from, or a good quote or something from some historical figure?
Historical figure. Maybe we'll come back to that question.
Okay.
I got to think about that one.
Okay. So what was my next question? Ice cream or shave ice?
That's funny. That's easy. That's a hard one, actually. Why would you do
Both.
that? Gosh, both. Probably ice cream, but gosh, ice cream in shave ice. Is that an answer?
I would say that. So I love asking these kinds of questions. So what would be, if you were a superhero or a supervillain, what would be your powers?
So that's pretty fun. That's a fun one because you can pretty much do anything. But I would actually, gosh, it's somewhere between flying, of course. A lot of people want to fly, but also having maybe super strength or something that would make me be able to move things, or even telekinesis where you can move things with your mind is super fun. That's kind of my, I don't know, secret magic power that I wish I had, is like moving maybe this bottle across and you didn't even know who moved it or anything like that.
So you didn't have to get out of your chair. You just like sit there.
But then I realized, man, that wouldn't encourage me to move at all. I would just sit there in one chair the whole day, just move things with my mind. There would be no point to moving.
Yeah. It's not bad.
It might make me a little lazy.
Well, with your working mind, you probably just get more done.
I guess so.
I had one guest who just said, I wish there was more me.
No.
I could just like duplicate myself, so I just like do more stuff.
Oh gosh.
I was like, wow, yeah. I love that question because it really digs into like the psyche of the person. It's
right.
Like, well, what are they looking for in life? What do they need?
Right.
Or what do they see as like their own weakness that they want to be a strength kind of thing?
Yeah. I love that answer too, but I wouldn't duplicate me just because one is enough.
Just have like me's all over the place. Doing this and that.
I'm good with just one me.
Yeah. But it's also interesting to see people answer that question, and if they put limitations on themselves when they're answering that question, because it's a completely fantastical question, and you can create any kind of answer that you would like. So I kind of like to see, like, do they put limitations on themselves?
Right.
Do they only pick one power?
Right.
Do they pick 10?
I picked like 3. So
right.
I was like, can I have 3? If that was okay.
It's like, what would your superpowers be? Like, oh. And then, like, do you limit yourself to like just something that's in the comic books or in the movies, or do you come up with something completely different?
Right.
It's like, oh, I wish I was Gaia, Mother Earth. I just had the power to like create life on planets.
What was the most interesting answer that you've gotten to that question? Besides a bunch of me's.
I think a bunch of me's was probably the best one so far. But the ability to like slow down or speed up time.
Oh, that's interesting.
So they could do more and get more accomplished, or slow things down so that they could really focus. So
interesting.
Yeah.
That's a cool one as well. Because imagine if you can slow down time and you can spend more time doing something that you just love, like maybe spending time with your kids is something you love, or, going traveling something. It's somewhere.
But what if like you slow down time to spend it with your kids, but it's like slowing down the tape on a video and everything's just talking weird.
They're all slow as well. That might not be okay.
And you're in regular speed.
Oh gosh. Maybe with no people involved. Maybe if you're just in front of a beautiful scenery or something, you wanted to enjoy that moment forever. That might be okay.
Yeah. Teleportation's a good one too.
Oh, that's a good one.
Instantly go like Nightcrawler, just like boom, 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 go here, there.
That one's a little scary. If somebody just appeared in my living room or something, I'd say, what?
Unless they're bringing DoorDash.
Yeah, exactly. That would be okay then.
It's like, where's the Krispy Kremes?
Totally fine.
Showing up in my living room, where's the donuts?
I know. I wish they had a Krispy Kreme here in Oahu, but they don't.
Isn't that crazy?
I know.
I don't know why.
Oh my gosh. I think one of your questions was, what's your favorite local food on there?
Yeah.
I was
you have
excited
a favorite
for that
local
one.
food?
Lao Lao. So I was ready for this answer because I love Lao Lao. So if anyone wants to appear in my living room with Lao Lao, they're totally invited. And what is your favorite Hawaiian food or local food anyway?
I do love me some chicken katsu.
Nice.
Yeah, and sauce, a lot of sauce.
Yeah, a lot of sauce.
Yeah. As long as the chicken is like not overly cooked and really hard, because then it like tears up the top of my mouth and stuff like that.
Exactly.
No, it's got to be nice.
I know it's hard though, because I've been trying to make chicken katsu on my own at home. It's difficult to get that right ratio of not getting it too cooked inside and just being super perfect about it. So still something to work on.
I have no idea how to make it. So. My mom made some really good chicken katsu a while ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's Irish Italian. She just made some awesome chicken katsu.
I'm sure.
Yeah, she's a great cook.
You're so lucky.
It was the one time she made chicken katsu. So, okay, back to the historical figure question. Anybody?
Well, I have a funny story about that because I was in middle school, and the person that I got from, I guess we had to take names out of a hat, and you have to pick a historical figure that represented you, like magically would represent you, and that you would be called for the rest of this entire class that you were in. So that was going to be your name. So I picked out of the hat Mother Teresa. So everyone called me Mother Teresa for the entire class. And I said, wow, this is very interesting, because I feel like she's more about like peace and love and everything too. And that's also my middle name is Love Child, which is Aiko as well. So I feel like I was like, well, that kind of actually kind of represents what I'm about as well, like spreading love and happiness and aloha and positivity to anyone that I meet as well. I don't ever want to say anything negative. But, sometimes some things come out. You can't always have a perfect day, like you said. But of course, trying to be as positive as I can to attract that positive energy. So I'm always trying to do that now too, is just throw positivity out there, hoping that it comes back to me. And it does, and tenfold too. So a lot of what I do every single day is writing down affirmations, for example, as well. That always helps out. So just being, thinking back to that and thinking back to, hey, Mother Teresa, that's pretty cool. Like I loved being able to pick that out, because it was kind of like fate, at that time, because I was in 7th grade and I was young and impressionable. So I was like, oh, Mother Teresa, very cool. So, so I feel like that's a great figure to look up towards, just being very peaceful and full of love.
Do you believe in coincidences, or do you believe in fate, or both?
Both, and a lot of luck. I believe in that.
You still believe in luck?
I believe in luck, and it's a lot of things that have happened to me personally in the past. I believe is very lucky. So, I don't ever give up the fact that people are lucky in certain aspects as well. So you just got to find that luck and kind of look at it as lucky, as being lucky. It's not a coincidence that was meant to happen to you. So maybe that is fate, something like that too. So
yeah, because I'm along the same lines of not believing in coincidences. I believe like there's fate, there's signs. Like if you see something that, it's a coincidence, it's like, no, it's a sign.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to follow it? Are you not going to follow it? Like whatever the sign may be, but it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that, I was in Tokyo and we got on the subway and I looked down to the subway and there's like my friends from Kapolei, like just standing in the next car. It's like a city of how many million people. And at that specific moment in time, they're there and I'm there. We're going in the same direction on the same train.
Wow.
And I just happened to look and they just happened to look at the same, and we just met eye contact. I was like, Everett.
Hey,
Sakai.
I know Everett.
Everett.
Oh, do I know Everett? Do I know your Everett?
Yes.
It's a different Everett.
No.
Same Everett.
Not Sakai. Everett.
Arakawa.
We're
giving him a shout out.
So Everett was there in that subway with me.
I can't believe it.
And I got on the subway and I looked. I was like, what are you doing?
What?
It was him and Andrew.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Oh, he didn't even tell me that story, so I'm gonna have to ask him.
Yeah,
Everett's a good friend of both of ours. So
yeah,
for everyone.
Yeah, I've
listening.
known Everett for years.
Yeah,
play hockey together. Yeah.
He's a mortgage broker at Smart Money, so if anyone's looking for a mortgage, he can help.
Everett. maybe I'll have to invite him on the podcast.
Right, that'll be great. That'll be great.
How did I find you in Japan?
by fate. It was fate,
It was
destiny,
just weird.
by luck. That is strange. Out of a million people, and you would be on the same train as them.
Right.
Oh, that's so strange.
But it happens.
Yeah.
All right. So, you have anything else to throw down for the audience or anything before we close out?
Definitely follow us at Astrategy Marketing on Instagram, TikTok. We're also on Facebook, but we're not very active on there. So I would say Instagram and TikTok is where to find us. LinkedIn, you can find me and follow me personally. Right now it's Alison Koyanagi. My last name may be changing soon. So it actually will be. So, but I'll announce that later as well. It'll be Alison Lathrop pretty soon.
Lathrop.
Yeah, that'll be exciting.
Cool.
And then you can find us at strategymarketing.com as our website. And you can see exactly what we do on there as well.
All right. It's been super awesome having you on the show and getting to know you, Alison.
It's been super awesome getting to know you too.
Super inspirational stories. And I hope that the audience gained like some inspiration the same way I have from hearing you. Like you have an inspirational story.
Oh, that's really nice of you. I have more where that came from. I'll come back on. No, I'm just joking.
All right. You have your own strategy show, a strategy podcast show. Yes.
I don't know if I could have this setup that you do. It's beautiful. So.
Well, this is part of the new business. The part of the new business is offering podcast services to businesses.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right, everybody. Alison Koyanagi.
Thank you,
and
everyone.
as always, stay happy, Hawaii.